Uh, I'm going to present a case of pallor with hepatosplenomegaly. These findings usually evoke a differential of uh, my case pallor with hepatosplenomegaly. These findings usually evoke a differential of either some infectious disease such as malaria, typhoid, infectious mononucleosis, etc., or some hematological conditions such as hemolytic anemia, malignancies as such. But life throws some surprises at us, and sometimes it shows some very common presentations of some very uncommon disorders. Hence, we are made to think beyond the usual. Such is my case, which was taken from the genetic clinic, KM Hospital, Mumbai. This 6-year-old male child, second by birth order, born of non-consanguineous marriage, presented to us with chief complaints of distension of abdomen since 3 years of age, which was insidious in onset, progressive, and painless in nature. There was also a history of painless abdominal mass noticed in the left upper quadrant since 3 years of age, which was gradually increasing in size. There was also a history of easy fatigability in this child. However, there was no history of any jaundice, repeated blood transfusion, prolonged fever, and there was also no history of any neurological complaints. Neither there was any history of loss of weight or loss of appetite. Child had received a packed cell transfusion around 3 years back for bleeding per rectum. However, the child's birth history was normal, and the child's development was also normal. There was a death in a female sibling in the family at 5 years of age who had jaundice during that episode, but the terminal events could not be known. Hence, to summarize on history, here we have a child with progressive upper abdominal distension due to a mass, most likely due to organomegaly with easy fatigability and no transfusion. We examined this child, which revealed that the child's vitals were stable. Anthropometrically, the child was wasted and stunted, the height, weight, and head circumference all being less than the third centile. On general examination, the only striking finding noticed was presence of severe pallor. Otherwise, there was no icterus, clubbing, lymphadenopathy, no pedal edema. Neither there was any evidence of any petechia or ecchymosis. There was no evidence of any hemolytic phases, no signs of hepatocellular failure or any vitamin deficiencies. On abdominal examination, it revealed that the abdomen was distended with the umbilicus stretched and everted. There were no visible scars, sinuses, or pulsations. However, there was huge hepatomegaly about 12 centimeters below right costal margin with a span of 15 centimeters, which was firm, irregular, and had sharp margins. There was gross splenomegaly noticed, which was about 23 centimeters below the left costal margin, which was firm. The splenic notch was felt. The bowel sounds were heard. There was no free fluid. Genitalia was normal, and the hernial orifices also were normal. Rest of the systemic examination, including the fundus, was also normal. This is a photograph of the child being taken. One can notice the huge abdominal distension, which is predominantly supraumbilical in nature. The umbilicus being displaced inferiorly, and it is stretched and everted. One can also notice there is the absence of hemolytic phases in this child. In the second photograph, the liver and the spleen has been marked out for your appreciation. One can notice the huge spleen and the liver present in this child. Hence, to summarize on history and clinical examination, here is a 6-year-old male child with progressive massive hepatosplenomegaly with pallor since 3 years of age, with growth less than third percentile, without any jaundice and non-transfusion dependency. Hence, in a child with anemia with progressive massive hepatosplenomegaly, ruling out the other differential diagnosis, we zero into storage disorder with hypersplenism, most probably could be a Gaucher's disease or an Niemann-Pick disease. We investigated the child. On investigation, it was revealed that the child had pancytopenia. The hemoglobin, the total count, and the platelet count were all below the normal levels. However, the child's liver function tests were normal, suggesting that the hepatocellular function was intact. The sonography of the abdomen showed hepatomegaly with gross splenomegaly. Just to be sure, we did a hemoglobin electrophoresis in this child, which was normal, hence ruling out.
Why was electrophoresis done?
So sometimes thalassemia, intermedia, and other types of thal present as.
Yeah, though clinically we knew this was not so. Thalassemia intermediate will not have this kind of a large liver, spleen, progressive, last 3 years, etc. The point is well made, but the point again, since morning we have been discussing that let our investigation be also very rationally ordered.
Yes.
It's fine that we have ruled out something which may rarely be so, but to begin with, if everything is in favor of what we thought clinically, then probably we would not have done all that.
In view of our suspicion of a storage disorder, we did a bone marrow examination in this child, which revealed the presence of Gaucher cells, which are nothing but chronically activated macrophages having lipid inclusion bodies showing a crumple paper appearance. Because of this, we sent leukocyte beta glucosidase levels in this child, which were far below the normal levels. And also we sent the plasma chitotriosidase levels, which were elevated. We did a sphingomyelinase levels, which was normal, hence effectively ruling out Niemann-Pick disease in this child. Hence, with an onset of symptoms after infancy, with massive hepatosplenomegaly, with pancytopenia, and absence of any neurological signs and symptoms, and gross enzyme deficiency of beta glucosidase, we come to a diagnosis of Gaucher's disease type 1 in this patient. Based on this diagnosis, we started the child on treatment with enzyme replacement therapy about 6 months back. The child has received around 5 infusions till date, every fortnightly at a dose of 25 units per kg. We are following up this child on treatment for periodic measurements of the child's vital parameters, his anthropometric parameters, the size, span, volume of liver and spleen. We are also laboratorically measuring the child's hemogram, liver and renal function tests, the child's calcium, phosphorus and alkaline phosphatase levels. To monitor the progress and the response to treatment, we are also keeping a track of chitotriosidase levels, and also we are watching for any complications of progress in this disease. The silver lining of this case being that we have seen that quite a lot of presentation being made today, and in almost all of the cases, most of the children succumb to that, but this child is alive and kicking well, and we have started the child on a treatment and hope that his quality of life will be better as well. Thank you.